Welcome back to Movie Mojo. Today we are going to review the horror mystery film, Rings. If you enjoy our content, don't forget to like and subscribe. We upload multiple times daily. Spoilers ahead. The movie starts off in a plane. Carter, a young man played by Zach Rohrig, appears upset. Faith, Laura Wiggins, the woman sitting next to him, inquires as to his situation. Carter adds that after watching a horrific film a week prior, he received a phone call informing him that he would pass away in 7 days, 5 minutes from the present time. Carter gets up to use the restroom as the plane begins to sway. When Faith's friend Kelly, Lizzie Brochere, returns, she hears what happened. Kelly panics as she has also watched the video. To fetch Carter, she enters the restroom. The aircraft then begins to descend. The bathroom is spewing out a dark slime. A swarm of insects emerges from the cockpit as Carter steps back. Carter can see Samara Morgan, Bonnie Morgan, stepping out of a well and into the aircraft on the monitor. Amy Teagarden, a college student called Sky, spots a VCR with some films at a yard sale 2 years later. After Carter's father perished in the plane disaster, a professor by the name of Gabriel, Johnny Galecki, reveals that the items were from him. After Gabriel and Sky had slept together that night, Gabriel tinkers with the VCR, and the dreaded tape comes out. Before the phone rings, Gabriel watches it and notices strange images. 7 days, a voice on the other end of the call says. The rain outside then begins to climb. We get to know Julia, Matilda Lutz, and Holt, Alex Rowe. Holt is departing for college. Later, the two have a Skype conversation, but Holt is dragged away to go hang out by his roommates. Julia has a dream that Holt visits her, but when she sees something terrifying approaching her, the dream transforms into a nightmare. When she finally awakens, Holt is on video call with her. When Julia answers it, Sky, who is visibly upset and saying she is coming, is there. To investigate, Julia makes a drive to Holt's college. She finds his class schedule by going into his dorm room. To find Holt, Julia snuck into Gabriel's class, but no one would tell her where he was. As she moves on inside the building, she discovers a book authored by Gabriel that describes Samara's enigma. When Julia passes by a student lounge, she overhears Gabriel and Sky discussing Holt in relation to an urgent matter. Recognizing Sky from the webcam chat, Julia follows her to her car. Julia believes that Sky will take her to Holt because she tells her to go with her. Julia is brought to Sky's residence. In the midst of Sky configuring something on her laptop, Julia checks Sky's phone and notices a message from Holt. Holt tells Julia not to watch what Sky is about to show her when she replies to him. Sky becomes enraged and commands Julia to watch the recording, but Julia secludes herself in Sky's restroom. Sky becomes frightened when she notices the time is 7:10. She breaks her laptop and believes she has triumphed, but the television starts. Sky unplugs it, but it continues to operate. She pulls it away from the wall and flips it over, but the light stays on. After killing Sky, Samara emerges from the screen and turns to stare at her. The bathroom door then appears to be opened by Samara for Julia, but no one is inside. When Julia tries to exit, the door is locked. Sky's head twists to display her contorted face as she digs into her jacket pocket for her keys. When Julia turns to go, Holt yells at her to stay with him. Julia is warned not to view it after Holt describes what he observed. He watched the movie after Sky did, and they both searched for a tale, someone to pass it on to, in order to avoid a horrifying demise. While he is sleeping, Julia opens his laptop and watches the video before getting the 7 days call. Prior to being jolted out of her vision involving Samara by Holt, Julia experiences one. Her hand bears a burnt mark from the phone handle. Then Gabriel calls Holt about getting a tail, but Holt replies that he no longer requires one. Holt and Julia travel to see Gabriel. Gabriel informed Holt, Sky, and other students about an experiment that would allow them to unlock a soul, according to Holt. Julia witnesses a bird breaking Holt's windshield while they are driving. When she turns around, the windshield is unharmed, but a bird that hit the car and is now writhing on the ground is present. The three attempt to duplicate the cassette so they may give it to another person. It turns out that the file is too large to copy. When they look closer, they see that there is a tape within the tape that contains further video. The previous bird is there, along with a church, a swarm of flying insects, and other strange pictures. The story of Samara Morgan, whose parents threw her down a well to die because they felt she was evil, is told to Julia. Samara survived for more than 7 days before succumbing to her injuries. In order to burn Samara's bones, Julia and Holt must locate her grave because they believe that Samara's soul is trapped and longs to escape. According to news accounts, she wasn't buried properly. Beginning to appear in Julia's vision is the pregnant woman she saw in the other video standing in the middle of nowhere. As they search for Samara's grave, she and Holt stay in a motel. They visit a cemetery and enter a tomb where Samara is purportedly interred. Julia had a second unsettling vision before being extracted. The groundskeeper is aware of the person they are seeking. The residence of Burke, Vincent D'Onofrio, a former priest who is blind and has connections to Samara, is where Julia and Holt are taken. Burke is given an explanation of Julia's vision and what she has been witnessing. The road is blocked due to an accident on the way back to the motel. Julia exits the vehicle after spotting the expectant mother once more. She and Holt learn that Gabriel was the automobile accident victim. Gabriel gets electrocuted despite their best efforts to save him as the wires come loose and strike water that has seeped below. In the hotel foyer, Holt notices a picture of the expectant mother. Karen, the cashier, identifies the woman as Evelyn, who was eventually identified as Samara's mother, Jill Jane Clements. Later, Julia discovers Samara's remains kept in Burke's house. Burke's paternity is also revealed to her. Julia is attacked by Burke before Samara emerges from the TV. Burke is slain after making eye contact with Samara. Samara's soul is freed when Julia and Holt remove her bones and burn them. Later, Holt is listening to Gabriel's messages as Julia is having a shower. He said that Julia's hand had a braille mark on it. From a photograph of Julia's hand that Gabriel had scanned, Holt looks up the symbols online. Julia observes the burn is peeling off and the flesh beneath is gray in the meanwhile. After that, she gags and yanks out a long hair strand that has been curled into a ball. Holt learns that the mark denotes rebirth. The computer abruptly malfunctions and begins sending copies of the film to everyone Holt knows. Holt tries to stop it, but people are watching and responding. When Julia wipes the mirror, Samara may be seen peering back at her. Thank you for watching and don't forget to like and subscribe.